Oh, hello and welcome to 10 p.m. with Galinsky. Good to be here. Welcome. 10 p.m. with Galinsky, Monday through Friday on Facebook Live. Also streaming out to YouTube. Want to shout out my simulcast partner, The Stage Network. If you go to watchstage.com, you'll see amazing theater, live theater, archive theater there. Also shouting out VIPtalentconnect.com, actortrade.com, and nuchus.com. All these groups and organizations have been helping put the show together. So I'm asking my audience to, in the chat, if you can hear me okay, give me some thumbs up in the chat. Got an incredible guest tonight, going to bring her in from the green room in a moment. I want to remind you tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Coach Frank Buddy Leonard of the St. Louis Rams and New England Patriots and Boston College will be with us. And then Thursday night, Tony Award winning actress Marianne Plunkett is with us. But now, live from the studio in Alphabet City, New York, New York, please welcome Liza Jessie Peterson. Hey, Liza.
Hi. Hey, Galinsky.
Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you. Are we live? Are we like
live
on the computer TV?
On the internets. The internets.
We on the internet. We on the net.
I'm
Great.
gonna shout out and let you know who's joining us so far.
Okay.
With Harder's in the chat room and Turco Ono, Jack Fuller. They're regulars. These guys are.
Oh, nice. Hey.
Bill Neems, Captain Seaman, Heather Prescott, welcome. Thank you guys for being here.
Nice.
Diane Lieb, who earlier today made some comments about the promo. Wow, this is some dynamic woman. So.
Oh, thank you.
This
is cool.
Yeah. Turco Ono says hello. Jose's in the house.
Hey, Turco.
Lima, Michael Fompkin from VIP Talent Connect. I'm assuming that everybody can hear us because nobody's saying, hey, your lips are moving and we can't hear you. So let's jump right into it. You are, in my opinion, one of the more dynamic artists of our time because you are not only creating art, but you're living a life. You spent 20 plus years teaching at Rikers Island, making a difference in people's lives, hands-on, not just sitting around talking about it or posting about it. And I want to know, were you always this person? Were you always from a kid? Were you always an activist artist? Were you helping people at the time? Did you have an interest then, or did something trigger this for you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a Libra, right? So Libras, the sign for a Libra is the scales, right? The scales of justice. So it's kind of in my cosmic, astrological DNA. About justice, but I was also raised in a family where race and politics was always discussed. So it was kind of like a subconscious consciousness, and I always had like a strong sense of justice and fairness, and I wanted to work on Capitol Hill and work for the Pan-African think tank to change laws, so yeah, I've always had that passion in me. So yeah.
So you spent about 20 plus years teaching at Rikers Island. Have you ever spent a day in jail or prison that you weren't teaching? Have you ever gotten arrested for anything?
Have I ever gotten arrested? No, I've never gotten arrested. Isn't that something?
Yeah, you're one of the lucky ones who.
I'm one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
Time served already. Anyway, time served.
Oh yeah, I definitely served time.
Heather Prescott says that's me. I guess that meaning that she's a social justice fan as well. And Amy Alt is in the chat. So, Liza, you wrote a one-woman show that has been critically acclaimed everywhere across the country and almost every paper that's looked at it. Boston Globe, Washington Post, New York Times. And can you tell people how that feels to be an overnight success? I'm saying that tongue in cheek. Most people think, oh, you sit down, you spend 6 months to a year on something, and if that, and you go out and you're dazzling people. Tell us how how you started the piece, The Peculiar Patriot, your one-woman show. How did you start it? And when did you decide, or was it from the beginning? You were like, I'm seeing this thing through. I'm going to make this thing happen.
Well, what did it, they say it takes 10, 15, in my case, 20 years to become famous overnight. Famous, known, on the radar. I wrote Peculiar Patriot, the first draft of it in 2001, like right after the Twin Towers, or the year the Twin Towers of 9/11. And when I wrote it, this is my second one-woman show. So I was really excited about submitting it to theaters and, getting my show produced. I mean, this was back in 1998. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm back 2001. So, there was like, PS 122 and, the Public Theater before it got super like celebrity. Do you know what I mean? There were like, other theaters that I was kind of interested in doing the show. Anyway, long story short, theaters were not really entertaining the prison industrial complex or mass incarceration, because this was really before mass incarceration was even a word. It wasn't in the zeitgeist. And so
it wasn't fashionable either, right?
It wasn't fashionable.
Social justice warriors and what.
I literally had one theater director who I'm not going to blow up, but I'll tell you later, like off the record. We'll pour that tea because we have that kind of relationship. But he goes, I love your work. He was familiar with my first one-woman show. He was like, but it's going to scare our subscribers. And I was just so like, what? And this was like almost 20 years ago, so I didn't have like the kind of diplomatic filter that I have now. So I was like, fuck you.
Yeah, right.
and so I took the play to perform in prisons, because I was like, well, I'm going to go where the love is, and I was submitting it to other theaters too, and it was just falling on deaf ears. Nobody wanted to touch it.
It's really crazy for an artistic director to say it's going to scare our audience. I'm sorry. Your audience is supposed to come in and feel something, right? I mean, if you want to just make them feel good, then open up a lounge and serve the cappuccino, and don't bring them into a theater if you got nothing to say. How did they receive it? How did the incarcerated audiences receive your work? And
they loved it. It was a symbiotic relationship, because I was feeling really like rejected by theater in New York, and I was feeling like I'm invisible, like nobody sees me, nobody's gonna hear from me, and they, by definition, or like out, like felt invisible because they were incarcerated and they were out of the public eye, or they weren't in their community, they weren't in their family, so they felt invisible. So it was like I felt invisible, they felt invisible. So it was like the invisibles were acknowledging each other, and because the play spoke directly to them, and they were like, wow, like you wrote this for us. I was like, yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's look at some of your promo work here for this. So this is one of the. This is.
Can I just say this? Like, technology is really fierce. I love that we're doing this. I'm having fun.
Yeah, you should. I am too.
See with pictures and shit. Oh wow, that's cool.
By the way,
I shouldn't curse. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, because this is
okay. Speaking of technology and fun, Amy Alt's in the room. Diane Paragas is in the room. Tony Blackman's in the house. Tony Blackman's here.
Yo, Tony.
Malik Youssef Combo is here. Laura
Bauer. Oh, Malik.
Laura J. Bauer and Thomas Blonsky. We have a couple questions. This is another promo for the piece. And again, look at those quotes.
Oh yeah.
It feels great, right? When you've got people saying these kinds of things about your work. No?
Yeah, no, it really does. Even though there was a point in time where I was really, I guess, hurt by theater, I was still doing theater. So I was taking it to incarcerated audiences. And so to get this kind of support now, even though it's like, well, where were you guys like 15, 18, almost 20 years ago? But I'm still grateful.
Yeah.
That the work is now being received.
Yeah.
Because it's still speaking to the times. It's still, is, I think,
Oh,
urgent art.
absolutely.
So I'll take it. It's like, okay, so the next shit I write, don't let me wait 20 fucking, don't let me wait 20, don't let me wait 20 years. You know what I mean? Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm writing about. Produce it.
When I took my show to LA, and it's about homeless people, which is another invisible
Yeah,
population.
yeah.
LA is the Mecca. It's like a zombie movie there. And every time that I mean, theater lovers loved it, but then once I tried to get it to anybody in the hands of television and film, why would anybody want to watch that? Nobody wants to watch people suffering like that. Nobody. Obviously, you guys out here in LA don't, because you got them living on your doorstep.
Wow.
Let's go to a couple questions in the chat. Turco Ono wants to know, and I'm assuming this question is about on Rikers. What was your best day ever? What was your worst day ever?
Oh, wow. I'd have to say one of my, and I've had a lot of best days. Yeah, but the one that really comes to mind is when I organized a poetry reading, slam, and one of the kids, he played drums. I didn't even know he played drums. This one kid, he was like in the, in like the bad boys house, the gangster house where, all the, leaders of the gangs were or whatever. And I got him to write this poem, and I was like pulling teeth, like, because what he wrote, like I had them writing, I went around to all the different housing areas, and I was like, hey, I'm doing a poetry reading, and some guys were into it, some weren't. And I was like, okay, just write something. And so he wrote something, and it just blew me away. And I was like, you got to finish it, because I'm doing a poetry reading. You got to be a part of my poetry reading. He was like, all right, Sister Liza, yeah, Sister Liza, I got you. He kept saying, oh, I got you. I was like, but it was so good. I was like, you have to finish it. So it was getting down to the wire, and the CEO was like, well, if he doesn't submit it by the day of, because we have to read everything the day before, then he can't do it. So it was literally like an hour before I had to turn all the writing into, the depth. And I was like standing over him. He got it done. Not only did he get up on stage, and these are like guys from different gangs and, housing areas. So, there's tension. But he got up there and he was dramatic. He had the theatrics with it. So I didn't even know he had that going on. So that was one of my really, really, really good days. And to just see them like support each other and feel the confidence. One of my worst days. Okay, what?
Real quick, you said they had to read it ahead of time. So the COs, the officers have to read it to make sure that they're not saying things that they don't want them to say? Is it just a freedom of speech?
Yeah, because I mean, because they could, diss a gang, and then you got chaos in the chapel. Sure. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Chapel, chaos in the chapel sounds like the next show. Worst day. Worst day.
Oh, worst day was when I witnessed a riot outside my classroom door. It's in my book. I wrote about it in my book, and I saw some kids jump an officer who was my friend.
Gotcha. Turco Ono says you were just ahead of your time. He's referring to your earlier mini tirade about
I was ahead of my time, and I appreciate, like, how that sounds, but that shit is painful, because like when you're ahead of your time, you have to wait, or you make compromises so you're not ahead of your time and your work gets, attention and gets produced. Either way, you got to pay a toll. So when you're ahead of your time, the toll is your career will take the scenic route, and my career took the scenic route.
Yeah, well, thankfully you helped the world along that route as well. Diane Blackwell says, much love to the Queen.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
Teresa
Diane Blackwell. Oh, that's my homegirl from Philly.
Teresa Conahay's in the house. Carolyn Dixon, Tiffany Pay, Make 'em Pay, D. Mona Christoph, Michaela Neems, Brianna Michelle's in. Charmaine Singer, another one-woman show actress. Great.
Oh, hello, salute.
So Elizabeth Harder has a question. How do you get your ideas for the storyline to do the one-woman play? And I know, so Elizabeth's a new actor, a new writer, a young new actor and writer. So how do you get your ideas for the storyline to do the one-woman play? As briefly as you can.
Well, this is my second solo show. Like, inspiration comes. It's really, for me, it's not a formula. It's really without trying to sound like corny, but it's a spiritual thing. Like, you have muses. You have, something will drop into your spirit and you just can't shake it. And it's like, I gotta get it out. It's really, yeah. So it comes from the realm of where all of my muses dance.
I think that you gotta probably make some space for them to drop in too, right? You can't be pushing it, expecting it, rushing it. You gotta chill and let them appear when they're ready to appear.
Yeah. And also, like, not saying, like, I didn't say, oh, I'm going to write a one-woman show. Like, I would write a little something, or something would happen, or I'd observe something, experience something, and I would just write. Like, I didn't know that Peculiar Patriot was going to be a one-woman show. It started off as a journal entry rant, which turned into a monologue, and the monologue turned into a one-person show. Because I think if I would have said, oh, I'm going to write a one-woman show, I would have probably been like, I don't know where to begin. I don't know what to write.
Intimidating.
So yeah, for me, that my process is really kind of organic.
A lot of the material came out of this place here, Rikers Island. Hey.
Yeah, that was my training ground. I started at Rikers Island in 1998.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
These images from the show.
Yeah. Oh my God, Kate Freer did all the video design, those images on the screen behind me.
These are beautiful. These are really great.
And that was from my other one, my most recent one-person show called Down the Rabbit Hole.
What's that from?
Which is my Down the Rabbit Hole. That's from Down the Rabbit Hole. That's my it's autobiographical. It's really the story of how did. Oh wow, that was when I was in DC jail, performing the Peculiar Patriot.
So, and some I'm guessing some productions in these jails were just this, you sitting with a mic and doing your thing. Some had a little bit more production value.
Yeah, so this was interesting. So I when I did most times when I would perform at jail, the correctional facilities, it would just be me, the table, the quilt, and the microphone. This is me talking the talk back afterwards. That's why I'm sitting on the table. But yeah, there it is. Yeah, so it was really that simple. Some facilities would have like an auditorium, so I'd have a stage, so it would have a little bit more of a theatrical feeling. This is in the chapel. When I was at Angola, they had a screen in the back, so I was able to do the projection. So they were a little bit more, theatrical,
sophisticated,
sophisticated. Yeah.
I think
it's usually just me, the table, chair, and a quilt, and a microphone.
Yeah, and that's important, I think, for people like Elizabeth and whoever else is thinking about what they're doing. Like, if you can't pull it off, if you can't do your show with a microphone and a light bulb versus all the other bells and whistles and videos, then you're doing something wrong. Am I right or wrong? Tell me what you think. How do you see that?
Well, it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's just that it won't have as much bandwidth, or, won't be able to go as far. And it will be able to go in places that maybe, to the people that you really want to reach, who don't have those, amenities and resources.
Yeah.
So, I've done it in the hallway of a jail, in a hallway.
Sure.
And I didn't have a mic. They had a microphone, but they didn't have a mic stand. So we had to duct tape it to like a music stand.
Yeah.
Hallway, and they're like rolling. They're rolling. The COs are rolling trash by, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Loud noises, keys, gates, all that stuff, right?
All that, yeah.
Videos. So I'm gonna shout a few more people out in the chat. Queue up a question for you. Tammy T, going back to what you said earlier, what was it about that everyone didn't want to touch? So meaning when you were talking about how you went from theater to theater, they didn't want to touch it. I think you might have answered that question. It was about being in prison, right? I mean, it was about the underbelly of society, no?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. Definitely, it was about mass incarceration. So that was a subject back then. Again, and this is like in 2001. This is before the new Jim Crow. Mass incarceration was a thing, and social justice was not a thing that people were, talking about. So it was a really touchy subject, which is fine for theater. Theaters can do touchy subjects, but I also, anybody who's seen my play, like I come like with the haymaker. I come like with the gloves off when it comes to talking about race. And I'm also a Black woman. I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, and I'm telling a Black love story, and I'm also punching white supremacy in the face. That is not, a real commercial kind of,
That's
combination.
That's not for your teetotaling theater goer.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Although I bet you, and tell me if I'm wrong again, but you probably had a lot of older white people coming up to you after shows. Did you have a lot of what looked like conservative older white folk coming up to you and saying thank you? Did you
Yeah. I mean, the white folks got it, but it was, that particular at that time. I mean, they get it now because maybe it's in the zeitgeist, but maybe back in 2001, 2005, maybe, I would say the soil hadn't been cultivated so that my play could now be received because they can hear it because it's been talked about. So it's a thing that they want to, lean into more.
Right, exactly. Janie Meadus just joined us. Mark David Birnbach, a brilliant photographer, just joined us.
Hey.
D. Christoph says, feed the muses. My brother Philip Galinsky's in the house. He says, I fall in love with Lisa Jessie Peterson every time I meet her.
Oh my God, I love your brother. Hey, Phil.
Queen Esther, right on, one of jazz's.
Oh my goodness. Right? Yes, wow, Queen Esther.
Carolyn Dixon's in the house, thank you. Let's see what else we got here. Someone commented on, would you want to play a part in some other play? Now we're not gonna mention that.
But yes, I do other material besides my own work. So to just put that out there, I'm an actress and I do other people's plays that I have not written. So
Mary Rose,
book me.
Alyssa Masor just joined us. Mary Rose did. Carolyn Dixon has a question. Lisa, what kind of obstacles did you overcome when trying to perform at correction facilities? Did you feel like the people running these places were welcoming and opening to you and what you had to offer?
Yeah. So when I was doing the prison tour, that I toured this play and performed it in over 35 penitentiaries across the country, most of the administrators, they didn't read my play, so they were just happy to get like programming for the population. It got a little tense, or I felt some tension once some of the CEOs were in the room and they heard what I was talking about. It was like, oh wow. But I never had any like issue except recently when I was at Angola and they actually shut me down. I've never ever had that happen.
What triggered that, you think? What part of your piece?
So just to give context, Angola prison is in Louisiana. It's a maximum security penitentiary for men. Most of the men there are doing life, and in Louisiana, life means life. I think about Norris told me something like 90% or something like that of the men there are doing life. And Angola sits on 18,000 acres of former plantation. So it used to be a plantation, and the plantation was called Angola because it was named after the slaves who were from Angola in Africa. So I'm already coming on some, sacred ground where my ancestors who were slaves were literally in those fields, and that level of like trauma, right? So, and now I'm in Louisiana, a red state, I'm in like an hour outside of Baton Rouge, so we're talking about KKK territory. And here I am, a Black woman, coming in with, I have, my costume is fatigued with the big door knocker earrings, right? So I'm coming in, the chapel is packed with 700 men. Plus it's being streamed in the TV on the plantation. So all the guys who weren't in the chapel could watch it on the TV in the day room. Packed. And I'm in there and I'm talking about, and I'm punching white supremacy in the face. I'm calling white supremacy. And so there was one line I said, white supremacy. No. I said, Black love is kryptonite for white supremacy. And I threw my fist in the air and the guys are having a good time. And I guess at that point, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I go in the back to change my little, my props, and like, we got to cut the show. We got to cut the show. So I was like, oh, and because that never ever happened to me. I performed in like 35 prisons across the country, never had my show stop, right? I did have my show not be able to come back again, but I never had them pull the plug. This happened through the show. So I hear the guys going, oh no, boo, let her perform, let her perform. The pack, 700 men in the chapel. So I hear them and I'm like, okay, F it. I'm just going to come back out and I'm going to take my bow, even though the show's not completed, they cut it off. At least let me just kind of closure. Exactly. So normally when I come out and I do my bow, every show, no matter where I perform, I always, do the bow, the grateful, thank you. I came out and I saw all those men, 700 men in the chapel. I came out and I just threw my fist in the air. I said, bam. All 700 men, they jumped up and they put their fist in the air and they started chanting, Liza, Liza, Liza.
Yes, what a feeling. What a feeling.
Oh my God, I almost started a freaking riot.
That was more than 700. That was the ancestors also. Speaking through that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you it was the straw that broke the cracker's back. That's what it was. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. I mean, and in my play, I call crackers, and I talk about, the 13th Amendment, I go hard. So that was just a little too much for them crackers in Louisiana.
We're coming to the end of our half hour. Do you would you like to go into a little overtime with me?
Sure. I mean, if everybody's down, if they're down to hang out for like, a little overtime, that'd be fun.
People in the chat, if you got a few more minutes, we're gonna let us know. New people are joining us anyway. Let's see.
That went by fast.
Maisie Jackson, I know, right? Maisie Jackson says hello. She's just jumped in. Mark David Burnback wants to know, what was the final push that gave you the strength to step in this personal space? I'm not sure, Mark. Ask that again a little clearer. And now they're saying, yes, let's go longer. So let's jump to a couple more photographs. And I do have a few questions that I want to ask as well. But let's take a peek at some more shots of.
Oh, that was from the 13th. Ava Duvernay's film, the 13th.
Yeah, tell us about that. What did they tap you for when they called you up and said, hey?
So there was a segment, and so if you haven't seen, anybody who hasn't seen the 13th, you have to watch the 13th. It is criminal justice, mass incarceration 101 on Netflix in 2 hours. It's just brilliantly done. And so they tapped me to talk about, there's a section when they address Kalief Browder and how, the injustice that happened to Kalief Browder, because I work with incarcerated youth at Rikers Island, they tapped me to talk about youth at Rikers.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I saw it. I saw you. It's brilliant. This is another shot from your show, right?
Yeah, that's from Peculiar Patriot.
Heather Prescott says, I love how you adapted, thought outside of the box and never wanted anything but to make a difference. This is someone in our chat. Turco Ono wants to recite one of your poems, so maybe we can get one of those before we end. Welcome, John Harris. I know where that one's from. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was from your fundraiser. That was dope.
Literacy for Incarcerated Teens. You blew up the crowd that night.
Yeah. Susan Burton. She wrote Becoming Mrs. Burton, formerly incarcerated warrior. Everybody should get her book.
There's the actress here. You could.
Yeah, that's the actress. Yeah.
Book her.
That was at the National Black Theater Festival in Charlotte, Winston, North Carolina, and I was in a play. I was acting. That was
Nice.
fun.
There's our buddy.
Oh, Steve.
Steve Cannon.
Steve Cannon.
You know, I spoke to Steve just 2 days before he passed away, and it was not an expected passing. It was terrible.
Wow. Yeah, you had a really close relationship with him.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was a great mentor. Red carpet.
That was when I was nominated for a Drama Desk Award for Peculiar Patriot. I said, get the F out of here. What? Oh, they're really paying attention to me now. That was fun. That was my first like formal red carpet.
Nice. I had to take the picture off and get full screen on that because your smile is so great right now. I got it on screen. Nancy Lynch Hutchings, my cousin just jumped in. Mark David Birnbach, he joined us a little late. You might have answered this, but what was the moment that you knew you found your calling?
What calling? Because I mean, my calling as a writer, my calling as an actress, my calling working with the kids.
I think from my point of view, your calling to be to not shut up, to speak up, to be present, and to share what you're struggling with and learning. Were you always able and ready to go at it like that?
No, I wasn't. And still, as I'm an artist, right? My artist. I always lead with my artist. My activism is fed into my art. I think teaching the kids. I think teaching the kids at Rikers Island really changed my life and really put me on the path of being consistent and being committed. The children, but the children. I'm a sucker for the kids. No, look at that face. Look at her. That's me and my homegirl. That's my. Oh man, we're about to shake some. Can I say shit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you already said the F-bomb a few times.
Yeah. We're about to. Yeah. See how she's grinning like a Cheshire cat. Yeah, we're stirring something up. Oh, my book, my first baby, my first book.
So tell people very quickly, what is the book about? So, because we've had people who have had books on, and they've called me a week later.
So this is my book. It's called All Day: A Year of Teaching Incarcerated Kids at Rikers Island. No, excuse me, A Year of Love and Survival Teaching Incarcerated Kids at Rikers Island. All day. And I taught at Rikers Island in different capacities for 20 years, but there was one particular year when I was asked to be a full-time school teacher, not a teaching artist or not a counselor, like I was in the classroom teaching English, science, social studies, language arts. I was in there from 7:45 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. like a regular school teacher, and I genuflect to any school teacher because they work harder than you do no matter what you do.
100%.
And so all day was about being with them all day, because it's one thing when I was a teaching artist, you're like the cool aunt, you come in your cool poetry, you come in for 45 minutes, you wow, and you go to another class, right? You hop around. It's real cute, it's real fun.
Yeah.
But when you're the full-time school teacher, your mom, you're getting disrespected. They're tired of looking at your face. You're tired of looking at their face. It's like the difference between the Marines and ROTC, being a teaching artist, being a full-time school teacher.
I got a couple questions before we wrap it up.
So buy the book, please.
They're shouting you out. She got soul, your voice, glamour, fabulous, no censor. Interesting. You're rocking it. This is
my goodness. What a great audience. This is so amazing.
And my good friend Barry Gecko Sakamano is in the house. He just arrived. You might have done some performances with her at Pseudo back in the day.
Okay.
The name Gecko.
I'm horrible with names. I'm great with faces. Yeah.
Carolyn Dixon says, do you do talkbacks after your shows? And if so, have you found that your audiences have really connected with your message? Is there a particular moment you can share that sticks out to you?
Yeah, whenever I perform at correctional facilities, I always do a talkback. Like, that's part of the deal. If I can't do a talkback, I'm not going to do the show. And when I did when I was finally on Off Broadway, and I performed at the National Black Theater, right? Moving on up, baby, like Jeffersons. They're part of their the pedagogy at the National Black Theater is that they always do talkbacks for all their shows. So when I was there, I did talkbacks every night.
So Jack Fuller is a regular audience member here and a good friend that I actually only met recently when I was in LA and San Francisco. He wrote one woman show, Liza, one man show, Robert, together. Wow, would be awesome. Start ticket sales now.
I love it.
We may do that.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question. So what's your vision? Everybody's wondering from all these different industries. We're all quarantined. We're all doing 6 feet of distance between each other. And people are wondering, how do sports happen again? How does theater happen again? So what's your guess or your vision of how theater recovers or happens again, if we can't sit next to each other for another year or two? You thought about that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're in it. We're figuring it out. Yep. I don't know.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What's one thing you've learned during this time? What's one thing that everybody's going through their own evolution with this and whatnot. Have you come to any new insights? Has anything popped for you?
I've come to a lot of insights. One insight is about the power of fear and how it's really important to take back control over the thoughts that you allow to occupy, rent space in your conscious, in your brain, in your head. And so just really being intentional about what I watch, how much space I let the news take up, and not letting it take up space, like staying aware, but I'm not plugged in, I'm not down the rabbit hole, and really just getting back to a daily regimen of my herbs and medicinals, and like boosting my immune system. And part of boosting the immune system is not living in fear and having a positive frame of mind. I'm not, and it's work. So it's not like, oh, I'm just positive. Like, no, I work at it. Like I fall into dark holes, but then I say, okay, let me turn off social media. Let me turn off the news. Let me binge watch the show I like. Let me do my herbs. Let me do my exercises. I have to work at it. But I think that's one of the things that's going to be really positive, is that people are really being forced to tap back into their own power and their own being in control of themselves, and not having external factors, just kind of numb us out or keep us totally distracted. Like, because Mother Earth said, go in the house and sit your ass down. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Sit down. In the house. Sit down.
Damn, you look like Mother Earth for a second there. Huh? Betty Nye just joined us. So do you have a poem you could do before we close? I don't want you to do it now. I'm just asking you if you have one.
I have an excerpt. Because I wrote a manifesto. And okay. It's a suite, but I'll do like a 60-second excerpt.
Right, and that's what we'll close with. But before we do that, a couple more shout outs. Carolyn Dixon says, beautiful, such a health mindset. Turco Ono says, being a Philly girl, do you dig Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes?
Oh, of course.
Of course. All right. Jose just joined us. Wayne, welcome. He just joined us. Mark just posted your Amazon link in the chat, so we're taken care of there.
Oh my God, thank you.
Right? Diane Blackwell writes, this pandemic is a healing journey for all of us. I think she's echoing what you said. We're going to close it up. Well, we're going to close it up. So thank you for being with us. I have one more question, and then you're going to drop your 60 seconds for us. If you weren't an artist, and you weren't a poet, and you weren't a writer, and you weren't an actor, and you weren't a teacher, what would you be?
Not here. I'd probably wait to come back to Earth when I could be one of those things. I came here for that reason.
You would not exist.
I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be me. I'd be somebody else.
Got you. Great. All right. Well, now we got another question. Heather Prescott, what's your favorite spot for an open mic in PA? Do you have one? Because you're a New York girl, though, now.
No, yeah, I'm a New York girl. So, like, when I go to Philly, it's strictly for family. I don't perform there.
Got you. Diane Leave says, best interview. She spoke, I heard. Perfect.
Aww.
Thank Lisa and Robert.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Charmaine Singer says, she's an inspiration, a powerhouse, and a special angel. Wow. Heather says, space entity. Teresa Connie says, thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing this. I really enjoyed the time with both of you. All right, let's go. Let's close it with an excerpt of something that you've written.
Yeah. So this. What happened?
I'm with you.
Oh, okay. So I'm recording this too. So this will be released, but okay, this is called Black Love Manifesto, and this is just a little teeny excerpt. All right. Blue, black, brown, baby buckshot, shorty rock, melanated prince king kissed by the sun, with your solar blessed skin, sculpted like a god, master crafted in my womb, first womb, ancient womb, safe and sacred womb, African fertile soil, black gold, diamond, oil, mineral rich. Mama me, I, she, I, we stirred you up good, boy. You, potent, powerful, wonder, warrior of the world. You, who always had the planet head nodding to your beat, got the globe axis leaning and tilted like your hat. Call it black swag, black cool, cat daddy funky blues, rock jazz juke joint, sugar shack sanctified, negroid crunk type of, stank funk type of, monster 808 on the microphone check 1 2 1 2 type of boom to the bap, the boom bap. Soulful genius encoded in your DNA, divine nappy archives coiled in your hair. The creator's rhythm, love child, and natural air, the planet rock. As poetry somersaults out your mouth. Your slang is slung around the world. What you say, how you say it. What you wear, how you wear it. How you do it, urban haiku it. It's showtime. Olympic ghetto gymnastics. Double back flipping to it. A one-handed handstand pop block Harlem shaking to a ronde arm pirouette in shell toe Adidas on crowded moving subway cars to Brooklyn. World-class concrete symphonies. Underground ballet for $1 donation. You was born with it, baby.
Yeah! Yeah! Beautiful. What close. Everybody is going in the chat telling us they got chills, grateful, they're grateful, urban child, fire, they're yelling shit out. It's great.
Oh, that's great. That's fun. This is so much fun.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have you back. And on Fridays, what I've been doing is inviting the past week's guests onto Fridays to kind of do like a group chill. So maybe for Free Friday, we'll see you on
Friday. Yeah.
Liza, Jessie, Peterson, I love you.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you. This is amazing. This is so fun.